Okay, I gotta figure out what to do for this week's episode. I have no idea what to do it on. I always do One Piece. One Piece is always a good go-to, right? But at the same time, JJK just ended, and I still have yet to give my opinion on how I felt about the ending. I don't know, it just feels like I'm overlooking something.
I'm gonna gobble all your dongs.
Okay, I'm in. Cue theme song.
Rambling addiction, yeah, you're hanging out with Lucas. Manga, animator, anything, alright, let's do this. Weekly is the basis, worst generation. Cooking up a feast while he's turning through the pages. Theories that he's making, from shonen to seinen. Blocked in, analyzing, using observation. Yeah, observation. Rambling addiction.
Hello guys, it's me, StrawHatLucas, captain of the Eternal Dawn, and welcome back to another episode of Rambling Addiction, the series where I talk and you listen. As you can see, we've officially gone full screen, and I'm trying to do some better lighting for myself. But production stuff aside, I'm so hyped because today is the day I get to talk to you guys about the first 3 episodes of Dandadan. Now, for those of you who don't know, the second episode ever of Rambling Addiction, which, by the way, this is episode 20. I legitimately can't believe I got to 20 episodes of this, but hey, here's them anymore. But yes, the second episode of Rambling Addiction ever was completely talking about Dandadan, how nobody was talking about it. And this was, I think, right before or right after the trailer for the anime dropped back in March or April or whenever it was. And I talked about how no one was talking about it. Well, now everyone is talking about it. I've seen some people calling it overrated, but I've also seen a lot of praise for it. So yeah, it seems like everyone is on board with Dandadan. And I'm so glad because back in September, I went and watched Dandadan in theaters, the first encounter experience. And I've waited for an entire month to get on here and talk with you guys about how I felt about those first 3 episodes. When it came to the first encounter experience in theaters, there's one thing I do want to mention before I go into my thoughts on the episodes, and that is the little segment before they played the first 3 episodes. They played this whole interview with the cast, some of the artists that worked on it, the director of the anime, and our man Tatsu himself.
I love you,
Tatsu.
and I love you, random citizen.
And I just gotta say, I'm so glad they did this because that got me emotional, if I'm being honest. I was texting my buddy Dastard, the man who does the theme song for Rambling Addiction, during that, and like we both agreed that like something about seeing Tatsu and how passionate he was talking about the anime, seeing the director of the anime, whose name I'll throw up on screen, both seemed so invested in bringing this manga to life into animation. I don't think there was a better person than Fuga Yumashira to bring Dandadan to life. We're about to dive into the review, but one last thing I gotta say is that I don't think there are better voice actors than Natsuki Hane as Okuran and Shion Wakayama as Momo. I probably butchered those names, but like I just want to give those two the respect they deserve. Watching like something I'd said in conversation is that watching the little first encounter bit before the 3 episodes, you couldn't even tell. You could tell Okuran's voice actor was playing Okuran, right? Like just by his mannerisms, the way he was talking and stuff like that. His voice was, you could hear Okuran's voice in his natural speech. Not the case for Momo's voice actress. Like that woman is pure and nice, and you can just tell she's one of the sweetest individuals you could possibly ever meet. But then when you hear Momo speak, not so much, right? Enough about the first encounter bit. I won't lie, I do have a lot more I want to say about it, but I have 3 episodes to cover, so let's get into it. Starting with episode 1, and I'm gonna take the time right now to say, what a theme song. Like, am I right? Like, Creepy Nuts hit it out of the park with Bling Bling Born. Bling Bing Bing Born. Bling Bing Born. Bling Bling Bing Born. And now they hit it out of the park again with Otonoki. Go look up the lyrics translated. If you're a fan of Dandadan and not just the anime but read the manga, tell me that doesn't fit Okuran and Momo perfectly. Like, it is phenomenal. Phenomenal. Creepy Nuts knocked it out of the park. So episode 1 covers the entire first chapter of the manga. It's somehow squeezed, because the first chapter is pretty long. I'm pretty sure it's like 80 something pages, and they somehow squeezed all of that into this perfect first episode. And yes, I mean perfect. As someone who has been reading this manga for almost 2 years now, I cannot express just how much they nailed every little detail about this. First, let's say Momo and Kintakakuri, or Okuran, as I keep calling him, are perfect. They found the perfect VAs. I actually watched the sub and the dub, and this first episode I've watched about 6 times now.
Jesus Christ.
And while I'm not sold completely on Momo's dub actress yet, I do think that she has the vibe. I'm not there with it yet. But the sub, as I'd already stated, perfect, perfect, perfect. And another aspect that they really nailed from the manga is that creepy feeling you have when you're reading it. One really good change I noticed right out the gate from the trailers is when in the manga, when Momo meets the Serpians, he walks around a corner and boom, they're there, right? But in the anime, they did that whole shot where the lights are going down the windows of the hallway and then it reveals them to her. And you can feel the suspense in that room. You can see the look of panic on her face, like, tell me this isn't real. Like, this can't be real, right? And it's something that from that first encounter video in theaters that they talk about is that, you know, translating that horror aspect from the manga to the anime was something that was integrally important to them, along with the other themes of the manga, such as romance and action. Also, if you can tell from the opening skit, I think they did perfect with Turbo Granny in both dub and sub. Mayumi Tanaka, who is a legendary voice actress, voiced Krillin, multiple characters, and, you know, a little guy named Straw Hat Luffy, nailed it, knocked it out of the park as Turbo Granny. I never thought that I would hear Luffy say, "Let me gobble your weenie," but I have now, and I can go off to wherever the next life is completely happy. I also thought the Serpians, I'm pretty sure it's Serpians. I thought they were really well done. Now, that controversial scene is just as stomach churning in the manga, but I feel like in the anime, in the manga, it felt really fan servicey, if I'm honest, and it does in the anime as well. I'm not saying it doesn't. In the anime, though, I felt the almost uncomfortableness or horror aspect of it more than I did when I was reading it in the manga. In the manga, it just made me feel very uncomfortable, right? Like, I should not be reading this kind of thing. And it almost turned me off of the series entirely, and I'm glad I didn't, because this series is phenomenal. But in the anime, it felt more terrifying. It got the energy of an actual alien abduction. At the same time, I do think they kind of crossed a line. That said, Western sensibilities and Eastern sensibilities are two different things, and I'm not trying to have that entire debate right now. Still very uncomfy scene, right? But seeing Momo release her powers, no matter how uncomfortable the scene was amazing. Seeing her defeat the Scorpions. Ooh, before I get to that, actually, the funniest part of this first episode was when Turbo Granny comes up between the legs of the Serpo dude and bites him, and he just goes, ooh, so great. That I was dying. I watched this in VC like the 3rd or 4th time I watched it with my buddies Vexyz the Lurking Legend and SSJA Cody and a couple other people, and we were all losing it. Like, when we saw that, we were dying of laughter. Now, for the ending of this episode, this is another change that I really enjoyed. In the manga, when Momo finds out that Okuran's name is Kintakakura, just like her movie idol, the man that she's madly in love with, she's just stunned, and Tatsu did a really good job of showing that stunned nature on her face and showing her inner thoughts and stuff. And in the anime, the ship blows up behind her, right? And it's such a good visual of what's going on inside Momo's mind right now. This is it. She's been looking for a Kintakakura type. This kid just said he's an awkward kind of fellow and is named Kintakakura. Peak. I love Dandadan. My favorite aspect of Dandadan is the romance stuff, but I'm not going to get into that because spoilers, and I don't want to ruin the experience for anyone. Now it is time for episode 2. After Momo finds out that Ken's name is Ken, she kind of freaks out and gives him the nickname that I've been saying this whole time, Okuran. In the manga, this is almost definitively what he is called. That's why it's so hard for me to not call him that. But then the anime did something that I really enjoyed, and I just watched the second episode again right before I recorded this because I wanted to, you know, collect my thoughts a little bit more on it. But it did this thing where after that, when they're on their way to Momo's house, where it like was breaking down the scenes as panels of the manga, and it was just such a cool visual direction to progress the story without doing just like a wipe and then they're at Momo's house. It was giving you little bits of conversation between Momo and Okuran. This is actually where we figure out why she calls him Okuran. It's just really well done. I have to give it to the director again. Like, they really knew how to handle this manga and the source material. And something that I've been waiting for ever since getting into Dandadan and finding out that the anime was happening was that relationship, is the relationship between Momo and Okuran. And we get the first little bits of it here in this second episode when she takes him to the house and she has to go change, and like she's holding him in the hallway so he doesn't transform into Turbo Granny. And just after that, when she's asking like, hey, is it really gone? I'm not gonna say what's gone, but you guys know what I'm talking about. And he's like, I'm not gonna show you that, like what? But they laugh, and then you get this really awesome moment from Okuran where he kind of opens up to Momo, and he's like, you know, I didn't want to miss my chance. The reason I did this, even though it's technically your fault that I got cursed, kind of like, which was hilarious. Anyway, the reason I did this is because I've always wanted friends, and I didn't want to miss my chance to make a friend. And when you came and talked to me, I saw that as my opening to do so. Oh, Tatsu, you beautiful man. Do you know how to write some character interactions? And I thought this scene was perfect. Like I said, it's the first little bit of the romantic subplot, and it's the foundation of that relationship that they're building right now. And it's just really adorable. I love Okuran and Momo. They're my two favorite like dual protagonists in all of fiction, if I'm being honest. Well, maybe Gash and Kyo from Kanjiki no Gash, but no, it's Momo and Okuran. It's definitely Momo and Okuran. But yes, after this, they hear the doorbell ring, right? But it's not the normal doorbell. It's the yokai doorbell, the one that demons use. So yeah, they go outside and run into a gigantic sumo wrestling Flatwoods monster. And this is the first actual battle of the series. Now, I know we got some combat in episode 1 between Momo and the aliens, and Okuran obviously losing himself into the curse, but that's more just action setup, where this was like the first full battle. And this is where we get the first battle of Okuran in his Turbo Granny form, which is just amazing. They nailed this, guys. They nailed him attacking the sumo wrestler and taking off his fingers and be like, nice. One thing I will say, when I first watched the episode, I was not here for the whole black and white aspect of it, because I wanted to see, like, and I know they showed the red in there and stuff, but I wanted to see Okuran's transformation in full color. You know, I want to see the whole color scheme and everything from the manga. So I wasn't the biggest fan of the black and white thing, but now that I've sat and watched the episode a couple times, I really, really enjoy it. It's a stylistic choice that, while it didn't work for me at first, it definitely does work, and I hope that it works for some other people as well. Eventually, the monster is defeated by putting the charm that had once burned Okuran back up after they get outside of Momo's property line, and Momo is relieved, Okuran is relieved, and then Momo passes out and Okuran turns into Turbo Granny. Now, another little bit, this was actually like, I was very worried how they would transcribe Tatsu's art into the anime. Obviously, character designs and stuff like that, that's fine, but especially with the yokai in some of the later alien stuff, my man can draw. And this shot of Turbo Granny contorting and twisting Okuran's body, I'm gonna pull up a screen cap from the anime and a panel from the manga side by side so you guys can see how much they actually nailed this. When I first saw Turbo Granny Okuran's like red color scheme, I wasn't the biggest fan of it, but seeing it here and seeing it with the side by side, it's phenomenal. Another moment they nailed in episode 1 that I didn't mention is when they saw Turbo Granny outside of Okuran's body, and she tells him, you know, come to the tunnel if you want it, if you want his dong back. Dong to dong.
I'm gonna gobble all your dongs.
Yeah, that was the one thing that I was like really worried about, and I'm happy with what I've seen so far, and it makes me even excited to see what's going to come out next from it. Episode 3, I'm debating how much I really want to say about it, because as I said at the beginning of the video, at the time of this video's release, episode 3 isn't dropping till the following night. So, kind of a spoiler warning. Okay, so episode 3 is the introduction of the character that's on the thumbnail, if you're wondering who that is. And the whole episode is basically giving you the rundown on one of the best characters in the entire series. The only waifu from the entire series, except Turbo Granny, of course, and some other yokai. I'm looking at you, Reiko. But yes, Seiko, Aise. Listen, I said Momo Ais the entire time I've been reading the manga, so getting used to the actual pronunciations is a little difficult for me. But yeah, Seiko, Seiko's just a chef's kiss. The things I would do to that grandma. So yes, this is her introduction episode, and we learn that she is a medium. We get a little bit more about her and Momo's relationship, a little bit more flashbacks to the whole finger ritual thing from Momo's childhood. All right, I won't lie, guys. I'm kind of scatterbrained right now, just remembering how peak this was. The opening to her introduction when she comes and like gets Okuran after like she does the whole TV appearance with the pop star and stuff and calls out all the stuff about him. Her coming up and beating the ever-living crap out of Turbo Granny in Okuran's body is just amazing. Like trapping him in the circles and doing the nails and using the bat. That's my waifu right there. Yeah, she gives us the explanation after she keeps Okuran alive. She does not kill him as her introduction would make you think. And we see her explain to them how to get his meat and veggies back, right? I feel like I'm gonna be on a watch list after talking about this anime. I can't remember the exact order of how the episode went. I'm trying to remember the chapter as well. It's been a bit since I've reread chapter 3 and 4, which this episode takes from. But there's this bit where like Okuran has to use the bathroom, so Momo has to like stand there and like hold her hand up so that like he can use the bathroom and not look at him, you know what I mean? And then her grandma's nose starts bleeding and she looks and there's Turbo Granny basically telling me, if you don't come and defeat me, then I'm gonna kill him. Like there's no stop. Your grandma, everyone is going to die.
That's harsh, man.
That kind of springs Granny Seiko into action a bit, and she tells them what they need to do and how they need to go beat Turbo Granny, and that Turbo Granny has become infused with the spirit that is inside the tunnel. And that is where the episode kind of lets off, right? It shows Okuran and Momo getting ready, and then they leave, and Seiko saying, you know, hey, please be careful, come home safe. And it's a really beautiful family moment. But yeah, so that's kind of my thoughts on the first 3 episodes of Dandadan. I know I rambled quite a bit, but it's because I've been so excited to talk about this. And I think this is a perfect point to go into my closing thoughts, is that I've waited, guys, for so long. I've tried so many times to get my friends into Dandadan and I just couldn't get it with the manga. And now that the anime is out, I'm so happy to see so many of them jumping on it. And now I have some friends who are even picking up reading it. And I feel, if I'm being honest, vindicated, because I spent so much of these past almost, I want to say it's been like 18 months that I've been reading Dandadan, just telling people, hey, you got to read this. This is my favorite weekly read besides One Piece, and seeing it get the appreciation that it deserves and seeing people recognize just how good of a series it is. It warms my heart in a way. And I'm not saying all this to be like, oh, I was right, I told y'all it was good, you should have read it. I'm saying this because when you have a series that you love that isn't getting the love that it deserves, and then it starts to get the love that it deserves, it just fills your heart with something special. And I'm really excited to see where the anime takes it. You know, I have a good idea in my head where the season will end. I believe we're getting 2 cores of 12 episodes. It may just be 12 episodes first season and then 12 episodes. I don't know yet. I can't remember what the announcement said. Yeah, I'm excited to see so many amazing battles that you guys are just not ready for. And I'm excited to see the romance bloom between Okuran and Momo. As I said during the segment on episode 1, that is my favorite aspect of Dandadan, because Tatsu writes the romance between Momo and Okuran so well. There's times when they're doing these big colossal battles, and while I'm fully invested in those battles, I said this in the last Rambling Addiction episode about Dandadan as well, I'm sitting there thinking, get back to the love stuff because I need to know if these two get together. But yeah, if for some reason you're watching this video and you haven't watched the first few episodes of Dandadan yet, go do it. It's a good time, and I'm telling you now, it's only gonna get better. I really think that this is a contender for anime of the year right now. We of course have to see how the rest of the season is received, but something in my gut's telling me it's gonna be a contender. It's definitely gonna get a nomination. But yes, I've been StrawHatLucas, captain of the Eternal Dawn. I'm so glad to have been here with you guys for this. I won't lie, I've been kind of, you know, getting that warm, gooey feeling in my chest, because not only am I getting to talk about an anime that I've been a proponent of the manga for so long, but also it's the 20th episode of Rambling Addiction, and I could not continue to do this without all of the viewers that watch. And I know my numbers aren't always the best. I've had quite a few videos go into the thousands. Most of the time I only get, you know, a couple hundred views, but nonetheless, every single one of those views matters to me. And not because of some algorithm or some big content scheme that I have. It's just, I appreciate all of you. And I appreciate that I have a platform that I get to share my thoughts with people and get to interact with all of you. If this is the first video of mine that you're seeing, subscribe. I do a lot of One Piece content, but Rambling Addiction as a series is about everything that I watch, whether it be, you know, live action stuff, anime, animation. I'm getting to those episodes. Doesn't matter, neither here nor there. What I'm trying to say is thank you guys for watching as much as you have, and I can't wait to see where we take this thing in the future. I really can't. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell icon, do all of that YouTube stuff, but more importantly than anything else in this entire world, guys, have a wonderful, wonderful night.